Hey,
Hey Richard, what's good?
yeah, I'm doing good. Just I'm always trying to do like talk therapy, so I just had a session of that. Uh, I'm gonna do weekly on Thursdays talk therapy, and actually I had one provider that I was working with, and they actually then recommended to me that I find another provider, like another talk therapist that had like more of a specialty in neurodiversity. And then because they said that and I feel this too, that many of the symptoms or ways that people that have autism think and act, I sort of resonate with a lot of those things. uh, so I don't think I have any sort of like diagnosable thing like autism, but I believe now that a lot of the ways that people with autism, the strategies that they find that work for them, I think that those would work well for me, like my mental health. Uh, so I just had like my first session with this provider that uh, I sort of explained like how I was thinking and what's going on. And they provided some feedback for that, and that felt pretty constructive.
So, do you feel like you don't fit in properly, or
I
what
guess
is it?
the main thing is like I strongly like to have routines. Like I have like an idea of who I want to be, and then I build like routines that I repeat that I feel move me towards like the person I want to be. And then stuff like society will get in the way, or the way like the demands of my job, or like the lack of demands sometimes. Like for example, I have a certain idea about how I want to work and what I want to work on, and when work doesn't provide me with anything, it's just up to me to make my own tasks. My brain really does not enjoy that at all. It takes a lot of energy for me to just be like, what if I do nothing? Like that seems to be this having an equal effect on whatever the outcome is, but like that's not allowed or something. So then it's like, it just feels like I have to like make up stuff to do. And then if you tell people you did something, they'll agree with you. But then you're like, well, what is it all for? And so sometimes I struggle with that. Uh, or
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. And then in like, if I have free time, I often, a little bit, I just really, whenever I find like a repetitive pattern that I can do, and then I can measure some kind of, whether it's like a skill improvement or something that I learned, then I have a lot of fun just like repeating the same routine. And sometimes though I get bored or I like burn out or something, and then I feel kind of lost. And so then I'm just pretty curious to explore the space of like, I mean, people that have real diagnosed with autism, I think, like the provider even said in this session that like people with autism, they have to pursue, like sometimes they have to pursue their special interest, whether it's a hobby or whatever, or else they just don't, they completely like unravel or something. And that's kind of a way that I feel I am. Like there's certain things like hobbies that I want to do, or things that I want to achieve, or like even like for a lot of my life it's been like running. If I don't do those things, then I feel completely misguided. But when I am in like a good routine where I feel like I'm in control, I'm running, I'm learning, I'm doing game development, that feels like amazing. And so then I sort of know those two things, and then it's just like I need more skills and ways of thinking and strategies to try to keep myself in like a good routine, feeling well. And even the word mindfulness came up. Like I would like to experience more mindfulness and purpose, and have more energy, and then stay away from the times when I just feel like I'm not doing anything, nothing matters. uh, and then just see, yeah, just I'm excited to like continue to check in with this like therapist and see if I can, whenever I can make small adjustments, uh, so that overall I get like more, I guess, happiness is the main thing, like more of a positive, happy outcome mindset. And if along with that, I start to make more videos and more video games as output, then that's like a benefit.
It's interesting that you say you want happiness. Happiness is when you actually are content with what you have in the moment and you're not pursuing anything. So there's like no desire, there are no goals, there's no chasing. It's when you're content. And in that moment, so it's happiness is fleeting because when you start to chase it, you never achieve it. It's all about gratitude and I see mindfulness is sort of like this catch-all, like gotta center yourself and breathe and blah blah blah. Fuck mindfulness. It's about practicing gratitude at the end of the day for what you have. We always seem to be seeking the next thing, and it's because we don't take the time to have gratitude for what we have in the moment. And one of the most important things that we have, well, not everybody, unfortunately, is our health. And we all, when we have our health, take that for granted. And there's nothing quite like being hunched over a toilet, throwing your brains up after drinking too much that, you start to have appreciation for what it is that you don't have in that moment, which is your health, because you're throwing up and you're feeling sick. I think, dude, like, yeah, I appreciate when people want to like work on themselves and all that. But I mean, you sound ideal. If that, can you hear me okay, or
Yeah.
it's quiet? You
Yeah, it
sound
was.
you
Yeah.
sound ideal, and you like I saw a few videos. I'm trying to stay off Facebook and all that. What's good about it is, but it's different perspectives. So the fear mongering, the useless shit, the misinformation is not so good. But then there's interesting perspectives on there. And one was about this guy who says, "Hey, I have all the symptoms for autism, but I've never been diagnosed, and I'm not going to be. And because it serves me. Like if you take away civilization, all the expectations of society that tries to basically imprison and institutionalize us. When you look at autism and what it is, like the hyper focus, the pursuing the next thing, the pushing of boundaries so that you see what you can take on, what additional risks you can take on, you build confidence that if you take away civilization and you're in nature as evolution intended us to be, people with autism, or sorry, ADHD, autism is a whole other thing.
All
It's
right. Yeah.
obviously, but ADHD is what I'm thinking of. They're like specialized for nature. And I think people with autism are, I don't know, if I had to guess, like they're specialized for a very specific thing in civilization. So it's almost like if you're autistic, like you hear about these guys that are super good at math or super good at a particular subject, or like one kid can mimic the song of 50 birds perfectly, like the sound. They specialize. It's actually a pretty funny video, the way his face looks. But they specialize in one specific thing. And you think of like how civilization is, all the things that we need to do to survive, like get food and harvest and get water, everything is just provided to us. We pay money to have what we need, and then we have all of these companies that are constantly providing new services, new products to make our lives easier so that we can specialize in one thing. And that's what we do, and that's what schools breed us to do. They breed us to be blue collar or white collar slaves for corporations, to specialize in one field or another, to contribute to the growth of society or capitalism, whatever. And the more you can specialize in something, the better you can perform at it. And then the more ideal you are in the eyes of others, because it seems like people glorify, well, actually, people are glorifying burnout for some stupid reason, but people seem to appreciate the productivity or what someone can produce or what it is that they're contributing. And that's how we merit value also with money, because we associate money with productivity. And the more money somebody has, we perceive them as powerful because of what they're capable of doing with that money, the potential of money. So it's like autism, like if you think you have it, then you're specialized for civilization. And the people with ADHD, they're specialized for nature. And if you try to put an ADHD, it's like a fucking square peg putting it into a circular hole. When you try to put someone with ADHD into civilization, it's just like they're not evolved for that. They're not specialized for that. That's like putting me in the military. I am very much not a military person. Yet I did it half my life, but I forced myself, and it did a lot of damage to me. It wore down my character, it wore down who I was as a person, and it left me sick. I've spent most of my time sick, actually, Richard. Like, I don't really talk about it, but there's the mental and there's the physical components, and there's like this sort of hybrid, which is the gut, which is connected to your mind, and so the mind impacts your gut, and the gut impacts the mind. Trust me, the gut alone can immobilize you if it hurts enough.
Yeah,
so it's like,
I was very like mentally affected by the military. I feel like I can empathize a lot in that regard. Like the mentally, like I felt mentally damaged by the military.
Yeah, this is different.
And I guess with with me, like I loved the promise that there was going to be a repetitive, stable routine provided by the military that would like shape me into something ideal. But I just found that promise was not true in the end. I felt that like I really wanted to have a harder, faster, stronger routine that demanded like more of me, and there just was in the end there was a total lack of routine or any demands even for anything in the military. And so then I felt like I had to fight against the military to create the routine that I wanted, and so that was like a tension. And then now it's similar now, working for like a big company. It's just another struggle of like, I want the routine that's like, I want more of like a physical component. Like I want my employer to like, ideally they would demand like intellectual skills and physical skills, and like much more of a well-rounded demands on some schedule that's like pushing me, rather than just, it turns out like they just don't demand really anything. And so then it's all this burden of like, I have to work around this 5-day cumbersome work week to try to, in my spare time, like piece together a routine that leaves me with all the little, all getting all the things that I want. And so then often I just feel like kind of lost, or like that society is structured in a way that sort of really hinders me and a lot of people from just becoming, but even when I say like becoming something more, I sort of just mean like you were saying, this like being mindful and appreciating what we have. That's kind of what I want to get to. Is I do want to find, like, I want to sort of work carefully through my mind so I can reach a place where I really do just feel grateful for whatever I have, even if it's like a lot less than what I currently have at some future time. I would love to get to a mind state where I can just feel content with whatever. But then I would love to take that experience and maybe that journey that I went on, and then create art from there, like make a video game that, like, I love this idea in my head of making a video game that like guides the player to appreciate, just the idea of appreciating what they have now and not striving for more, even though they could. A game that puts them in that situation or maybe like you go into the game knowing like the point of this game is just to appreciate where you are in the game and what you have and the lack of what you have, and you can get more stuff in the game if you want, but you'll quote unquote lose if you do that in some way, or some kind of remix of those ideas. That would be, but I feel like I won't really be able to do that unless I kind of in like an authentic way, do it myself first, like just kind of find, for me personally, like some kind of pathway to contentment. And then I'd love to like put what I learn into the words of a video game and like share things that way.
For whatever reason, we seem to need to specialize or have a role or purpose. And it's a programming thing within us. And it's usually as a part of like a community or a bigger organization beyond ourselves. Giving energy and contributing to something just beyond ourselves is something that's important. It's actually a component of a healthy lifestyle, like sleep, diet, exercise, that social community, spiritual sense of purpose, peace is it's important for our health. And it's interesting that we have that drive, but it's just because we're a social creature. We want to belong to a group. And I think of like individual, like creatures that like live their lives alone, like a polar bear, for instance. They're raised by the mother, like the cubs are raised by the mother, and eventually after, they survive a winter or two, they get kicked out the door, and then they live their lives by themselves until they mate, and then guys just peace off and live their lives alone, and that's it. So, but that's how they are programmed to be. We are not. And I don't know, man, if you're talking about having a physical component to your life, what clicked for me when you were talking about what it is you needed was like being a farmer. Because every day you're up, there's a routine, there's a structure. You're super like physical. There's a technical, educational, learning piece to it as well. You're taking care of other creatures if you choose to, or crops, and super long days. And it could be like a 6-day a week, 7-day a week thing. But the thing is like the animals, if you have them, they're dependent on you. So it's almost like no fail. And I wonder, like you talk about making video games and you're good at programming, but the only thing that trains is your fucking fingers. I mean, obviously there's the mental component, but you're not really getting that physical component. If anything, by being stuck in a chair for hours on end, that's bad for your health. So I do wonder, like, is programming really your calling? Or is it just a fun hobby that you turn into a job? And the problem with turning a hobby into a job is, in my mind, it takes the joy out of it. Like, I won't compose piano for money. I won't do it. I'll never make a song with the idea of making money in mind. Like, if I create music, it's because it's simply a hobby, something I want to do. It's fun for me. Because when I tried to play piano to get good, it took all the joy out of it. When I played piano for fun, I wanted to play all the time. And it's through that dedicated, consistent effort, even if it was a small amount every day, that's what made me better. Not trying to get better, but just the fact I enjoyed what I was doing. I think it's a problem with monetizing things.
Yeah. I feel that same. That's how I feel specifically about video games. Like, I did turn like my greater ability to program into a career, and that kind of ruined programming, at least in the world of work for me. It took the satisfaction like out of it. But for games, I don't think I would want a monetary career in games. Whenever I think about games, I think the same way you do about music, where I want to make games essentially for me, and for free distribution. And I would be like, yeah, against selling them because it would pollute like my idea of what I'm doing it for. There was a cool and like, but in these sense, if we make games and music primarily for ourselves first and for free distribution, then one could almost say we're like making art for no one, which is the title of a video that I watched yesterday on YouTube, and it was titled "Art for No One," and it opened with an explanation of there was an artist that spent like 50 years making like a 3 kilometer long art installation in the middle of the like in Utah or like outside, kind of far outside Las Vegas, like near between like Area 51 and Las Vegas or something like that. It's just in the middle of the desert out there. They built this like 3 kilometer long thing they called City, and it's like large piles of rock, and there's some concrete and stuff, and it's sort of these rolling like hills, and you can walk through it, and it's just like it's sort of an experience thing where you walk through this massive like shaped area with slopes and stuff. But the thing is, only 6 people are allowed to go there every day, and there's a random lottery to decide who gets to go. And the artist that made it, he spent like 50 years making it, but he didn't even want to open it to the public at all. But it was on public land, so it has to be open. So that's why there's like 6 visitors allowed a day. But there's an interesting thing there where it's like, who was he building it for? Why is it in the middle of nowhere? Why is it so, if no one's seeing it or enjoying it, what's the purpose? But I think that person, probably the artist that made it, is of the mindset, like he's not doing it for money. He's not even doing it to distribute it, really. It's a statement of like who he is, which feels very authentic and true. And that same video gives a couple other examples of, like, one, for example, is this book of photography where some of the pages in the book are connected together at the top, so that both pages are kind of stuck together along their like outer facing edge, so that you can't really you can't exactly see inside them or read them. You have to like cut open the pages, and that's another idea of there's art, like someone did work and did art inside those pages in the book that are almost not intended to be like seen or read, and only if you choose do you like cut open those pages or go in there and read it. Otherwise then one is left to wonder, like, what's the purpose of that stuff in those pages? But it's like it has meaning because someone created it, and that person who created it doesn't get anything more if people cut open the pages and read it. Like they might not even know anyone read it. But it's like it like served its purpose for the creator without money or audience coming afterwards. But that concept is pretty cool. Like thinking about like a video game for no one, which is essentially like if I make a video game and I put it in the browser or like online, and maybe people play it or maybe no one plays it, it is kind of like a video game for no one. But it's kind of still, at least to me, it's important that the game is out there, and it's kind of cool that some people might find it or not, and it sort of lives its own life. It's not like once it's out there, it's not really connected or about me. It's just a thing that people can find and do or something.
Kind of reminds me of what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider this art.
And this is also like, at the moment, it would be challenging for people to find this being unlisted on YouTube. And so that's funny too. Yeah, it's like we've got some kind of value out of this. We're building something, but it's freeing to we're not constrained by anything. We don't have to like have, we don't have to talk about the most interesting things or cover latest news or anything like to monetize it or something like that. We can just get out of it. Yeah.
So is it listed though where people can find it, or they just can't find it?
There's a couple episodes that are public, and so people could find those on my channel. And once they find those, I think they would be able to get to the playlist and see the other episodes. And if we want, we could just make it all public. Yeah.
You should open it up without even the intent of someone going to read it. Like, we don't need to advertise or anything like that. The algorithms probably won't pick us up, but it's
Yeah.
if you open it up, then it's interesting because maybe people can stumble upon it. If you make it too hard, people probably won't find it, but by opening it up, maybe they will. And maybe someone will listen to one of the episodes. Maybe we said something intelligent in that episode that they can then take and apply in their life. Because just like how I stumble across certain, what are they called, snippets or quick films on Facebook, by hearing other people's perspectives, sometimes it's like knowledge for me, and it lets me compare what they think against what I think. And you have to be careful though, because you can fall in the traps. So one thing I'm starting to think is, like, ignorance is bliss. It really is. Because now that I'm learning about money and investments and how everything's working, I'm becoming more and more cynical.
Yeah,
Now
makes
that
sense.
now that I'm aware about, like, the products that we use and microplastics and toxins and carcinogens that exist in the things that we use that are sold to us, that somehow, like, the government is aware of it, the regulators are aware of it, but they don't care. It's evil. It's when you just look outside of us, and it's like fucking trying to kill us. It's like selling us something to kill us over time. But then on a grander scale, like the plastic situation, the microplastics in the ocean and how it's ending up in our food. The fish eat it, so because they're swimming around in the water, and their tissues are absorbing it, and we eat those tissues, and those microplastics end up in us. And it seems like we just can't escape it. And outside of just poisoning us for a profit, it's poisoning our planet and the creatures that are living on the planet. And it's not fair to them because they have no idea what's going on. They have no say. And yet our regulators, policymakers do, and they're doing nothing. These elected aristocrats, the whole system's fucked. It needs to be torn down and destroyed. I would do it. If I had the power, I would tear it all down.
It's interesting to think, like, I guess it's called being like anarchist if one promotes like the lack of a system. Like, some people think that things would be the best if we had anarchy and there was no rules and everyone just kind of did do what they want, and just kind of left it up to themselves, like interpersonal relationships, I guess, to figure things out with no formal like top-down structure. Or like, we could take the current system down to replace it with some new system. And then there's like an open question of, is there some kind of global political system that would get everyone what they want without, overstepping too much or delivering the wrong thing? And then, but also we kind of, I guess in a larger sense, like, we also as individuals, we sort of know that none of that, like for me, it's like none of that, no perfect system or any arrangement would unlock deeper meaning that we haven't discovered. Like, we sort of know there's no grand meaning to everything. And if, if everything around us in our environment was like ideal, we kind of still would be we'd be sitting here with even less stuff to worry about and more free time and more energy, and more ability, and we'd still struggle with the same thing of like, we gotta, like, do we create something or not? And these same questions of like, do we need to create for a job and get money, or sell what we create, or can we afford to not sell, just make things for the sake of making it? And then what things, and what would what would the art that we make comment on? You know, if everything was always just being perfect all the time, it's interesting to think what would art say when we look at it. It would just be like a reflection of how great everything is, like a poster advertising how great the world is with no artistic like subversive commentary or something. But that's like a fun like thought experiment kind of, because it sort of leads back to maybe we would want a world with a couple of problems to distract us or challenges that we just have to not overcome, like the ultimate challenge of trying to be like immortal and knowing that like we're not going to overcome that, like we're just at some point we're going to die and lose to that challenge. That itself is like uh that's a fascinating thing of the human condition, of knowing that ultimately like we lose, and the art we make is aware of that or something, even if it's subconscious or something.
The art we make lives on. You know, the interesting thing is people will spend their lives in a haze chasing money maybe for the potential of retirement, but retirement for people is becoming less and less likely with the increased cost of housing and living and such. Really, you want to retire, you need to have a nest egg and not need to work and be able to live off that nest egg. It requires you to have a place that's paid off or a big enough nest egg to pay rent. But if you pay rent, then you run the risk of being evicted and having to pay more money, and that unpredictability is stressful in itself. I find though that's what we have been reduced to as slaves. We chase money, trying to save, need $1 million to $2 million by the time you retire to be able to live off of it. And it's not like you could pass a good chunk of that on, because the state will come in and steal most of it, unless you can do like a trust or something. And so all that money that accumulated will be taken back by the state, by the government. But like, people live their lives, it's a fucking grind. They're chasing after the next thing, buying the next product, splurging, eating out, whatever, chasing their goals, probably not feeling adequate because every commercial they watch or listen to tells them how they're not adequate and that they need the next product to be adequate. And when you really think about it, what's it all for? You're producing and creating for capitalism, for a company to make ultimately a few people so filthy rich and powerful that they continue to influence the system. And frankly, I've had enough. And that's why I've been focusing on consolidating and selling everything and taking the profits and try to just live with minimal expenses. And so if my benefits get cut, fuck you guys. I don't need them. I'm already a minimalist. I just want to have a consistent roof over my head. And if I do, and most of the expenses are paid for, I'll feel relatively insulated from the rat race.
Yeah.
And I would say outside of that, I could invest all my energy into myself to build back my body and to continue to grow my mind. I need to put an initial investment into myself first, because when you're sick and when you're plugged into the system for so long, you fall out of routine. It's like being plugged into the Matrix and being used as a fucking battery. When they release you, you've never used your eyes before. You never used your muscles. And you have to get back on your feet. But once that's done, I would say having new experiences with like-minded people is where it's at. because you can go on the most extravagant trips, but if you're by yourself, you got no one to share it with. So I think, I have a path ahead of me. It's sort of forged out of necessity. I was asleep until COVID. COVID woke me up. I kind of wish I was awake before COVID.
Yeah, COVID was such an interesting thing of the the destabilization of society that it caused, and how it like shook so many people in different ways. A lot of people realized they needed to make some kind of it was like an awareness of all of this could crumble today, and everyone feeling like whatever they wanted to get out of life now was better than never for them.
And apparently it was toilet paper that everybody wanted.
Yeah.
And if that's everybody's priority, is the ability to wipe your ass, I mean, come on. How do you explain that?
Yeah, it's like stages of grief or something, where whatever stage that is just like panic and grabbing the basic necessities, not wanting to give up the comforts. But then ultimately, if society continues to crumble, that becomes the least of our worries, and we move on to another stage of realizing what we actually care about. And we never did COVID long enough to get to there, but
1 second, Richard. Okay, I'm back.
yeah. But yeah, in terms of this channel, we have so many of these videos now. We have 67 hours, 67 videos, 1 hour long each of this. If I go, maybe I'll make a separate YouTube channel just for this, show. It will be like a podcast channel. Maybe I might redo the logo or something, and it could be interesting to release episodes, just quickly re-listen. Maybe I'll listen 2 times speed to some episodes and write up some kind of sensible thing about what we talked about. I feel like that would be pretty cool. If I have the motivation to do something like that, then, because if you give people the context of what are they going to hear, then they hear it, then they feel like there's something interesting happening.
Maybe run it through AI. See if it can provide a synopsis for you.
Yeah, I know that it would do a text, but it would miss this, the narrative of it's 2 people that used to go to the same school and now are in some sense reuniting and chatting. The first few episodes we played RuneScape, so I have some footage of RuneScape, or not RuneScape, right? What?
RuneScape.
Yeah. So I have footage of that, and that's kind of some of the history of why is this conversation happening, and what maybe some contextualization of the things we talk about. People don't read the description though, and I don't want to make it too formal where I wouldn't come on as the host before and do an intro and then be and now you'll hear the actual conversation.
No, it defeats the idea.
Yeah.
Providing a summary works. I mean, why not?
And there could be a short episode 0 where I do make a video where I explain the whole thing, and then each video has nothing other than a text description of what's in the episode in a ballpark way. That would also be a reason for me to, because I would be interested going back, listening on times 2 to some of the conversations and just refreshing what we talked about. And if I do that, then I'll jot down the ideas we talked about. And then that's kind of cool, because sometimes we do hit on some good ideas, and we make fairly coherent points sometimes, and it would be cool even to clip those out and then make a best of snippets that are the most dense information points. as like almost like a that could be a little that would
You're
be like an
processing too much.
yeah.
You're you're
The
you're
more
doing it.
ambition I have, the less likely I'll do anything.
Yeah, yeah. If you do it for yourself, then do it for yourself. Don't do it for the audience, though. Do it like if you want to take away notes and like see like how we progressed and have grown over the year and a bit. I mean, just by doing this recording with the idea of it being out there, that in itself was really the main point of the exercise. But if you do want to take notes, kind of like a form of journaling, do it for yourself. If you do want to put it out there, then just put it out there. Do what you want to do, but do it for yourself, not for others.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
that
it's
makes
nice
sense.
when like the system we have right now where like they go up unlisted on my channel because if they went public on my YouTube channel, then like YouTube has this thing where like just any public video will be in your list and my list would be like full because I do these conversations with my sister once a week too. So I would have like 120-hour long videos and then like interspersed in there would be like these 10-minute totally unrelated YouTube videos that I make. Uh, and so maybe I should be like making alternate channels.
Yeah, I think that's a
Uh,
great idea. Can you even take a step further and put it on Spotify too?
Spotify is a bit strange. I one time I looked up, can you put something on Spotify? And it said the way to do it is put your thing on like Apple Podcasts, and then Spotify will crawl like the Spotify automatically crawls Apple Podcasts and then takes shows. But you can't like I don't know if you can explicitly just put upload things to Spotify.
You
And so that
can.
was a weird case.
Yeah, there's a Spotify podcast app.
Yeah.
It's like
And
purple. And there's people who have podcasts and they put it on
yeah.
Spotify. So
Oh there's like Spotify exclusive podcasts. So somehow there must be some way to get just on Spotify. I've never
if you use ChatGPT
yeah.
to figure it out, usually it provides a solid breakdown of whatever it is you're trying to do.
Yeah, I would expect to like log in and see some kind of interface where, you know, they can like upload episodes button or something.
Maybe on the purple app because there's
Yeah,
Spotify
I'll look at it
podcasts.
again.
All right, buddy, we'll run with it. You seem to love this stuff, so
Yeah, well, I like engineering ways where stuff like I create content and stuff happens and it gets places with like ideally I've done nothing, you know, like I click a few buttons and then we get the content hosted somewhere. And I love solving, you know, like if we can get stuff on Spotify and everything where well I still don't have to do any, you know, it just sort of makes its way there by I placing the file in the right location or something. That's fun because then it feels like the impact is potentially high and the work is low and the
you got
ratio.
no problem working on your hobbies and the things that you enjoy doing. So
Yeah.
don't let that get in the way if it does take a little bit of time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe the goal would be I would enjoy the goal of like if we can sort of yeah, I guess yeah, like the more work something takes, the more I feel the need to do it right so that there's like a payoff. And so then I feel maybe I should take a look. Yeah, we could brainstorm in the future, or maybe I'll just think about the idea of like episode one. Like, how do we pitch and frame episode one in just like a very subtle way where we can deliver like episode one and people will be ready for it, they'll understand it, and they'll be interested in hearing more.
You just
But
put
it
it
does
up there,
seem,
man. The whole idea is that
yeah,
it's random. I don't remember if we even said it, but I think we did at the very beginning, like the whole idea of what we're
yeah,
doing. I think we just already did it. I do think if you run it through AI, like the audio, and let it just provide a quick synopsis with, 3 sentences, that's it. And even if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, man. If you want to save yourself the time and effort, But if you want to like do that and then see if AI is even like accurate, because you want to go through it anyway and take notes, that would be interesting to find out. But these are my
Yeah, I don't think.
suggestions, man.
I feel like AI would kind of work, but I would be kind of against AI. It just feels not. It feels like kind of phoning it in, and hopefully it would be good. I feel like it wouldn't be good, but for me it's not really worth trying AI because I feel like I either I'd want to do it enough that I would actually do it, or I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't want to sort of cop out like in between and try to like get a description without doing any work, because then it just feels, even if the description was good, it just feels like it wouldn't be like touched enough by us that there's like meaning in it somehow. Or even it would be like if there was descriptions but I didn't create them, then it's like not a benefit to me. It would be like only a benefit to the audience.
That's why you're doing
And
it.
yeah, that's weird though, because then it's like I'm working. Yeah, I feel maybe it's like that's something I'm thinking is I always want to be like the first one to get benefit out of the work that I do. Like, and usually it's like I want to go through the work of inventing some kind of routine and learning something about how to do a certain work, and then the audience gets the thing. And sometimes I enjoy making a video of like how did I do this, as well as like an educational thing. But if, yeah, that's an interesting idea of uh giving the, like, just sort of taking free work, bundling it, and then giving it to the audience, and the audience benefits from the whole package, but part of the job was not done by me. So then uh yeah, just, it feels like, what am I, it's like I'm trying to add value that's not directly from me. And it makes
Just
me
do
think
you.
about how, like, yeah, I always resist uh like roping, like when I'm making a game, I don't like bringing in like external assets or just buying art or something and putting it in. Like, I wouldn't mind actually paying for art, but anytime I'm like bringing in assets that's not made by me, it makes the project feel more distant from directly something I created or something.
Well, do what you feel is right in the end, and but just be mindful as with
Mhm.
what you said. If you do put your energy in, you need to feel like what produces a certain outcome. Ultimately, I don't care if there's a description. What matters is just it's public and accessible, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing this for the audience; I'm doing it for me. It's
Yeah.
a exercise of exposure, really. At the end of the day. Well, brother, I gotta sum up and start going. If that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that works.
Appreciate the chat though, and if you do want to move forward with creating descriptions, probably the best way to do it, best time to do it is immediately after our chat, and then just kind of like going through what we talked about in your head and just put the highlights down.
Yeah, I would consider that. I'll see what kind of rhythm I get into.
Okay,
Yeah.
but and that means maybe taking the occasional note if you want, but no
Yeah,
pressure.
that's the slippery slope
Yeah,
of like taking notes and having topics, and then the danger is it eats away at the beauty of having no script or no topics or anything, or
well, you're
not
not
even,
making a script. You're just
yeah,
as we talk about a topic and then transition to another
yeah,
one. You just be like, all right, we talked about, ignorance is bliss, or for whatever. Like I just shared, like as I learn more, whatever you feel like. But we'll chat later, okay, buddy?
yeah. I'll see you.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye.